morning to you, Honorable Asefo, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Jifa.
Thank you. Fine, thank you. Thanks for asking. So there seems to be an overwhelming disaffection since news broke that some 25 million has been allocated by the finance minister for the National Cathedral. We've not paid NAPCO trainees, national service arrears, teacher trainee, school feeding program, NHIS arrears. I can go on and on and on. What are your thoughts from the government side about this and the way it looks?
Well, let me say a very good morning to you and to your cherished viewers and to my senior colleagues, Mablakwa and Jackson. I took the opportunity to listen to my brother Kuduto. But before I attempt to respond, let me state that people say that Ghana is a secular state. Just to borrow the word of Professor Onyeka, when he said that Ghana is a pluralistic state, which means that we believe in God through other means, whether traditional means, that is through spirit, what have you. And so, having that background, it is not a misplaced priority for Ghana as a state to commit to the building of the National Cathedral. But I find it very difficult whether I am sitting in a different chamber, that is Parliament, from what the Honorable Okudato Ablakwa said when he alludes to the fact that when he alludes to the fact that government has previous occasions made mention of the fact that we were not going to commit state resources to the building of the National Cathedral. I hold in my hand the Parliamentary Hansard of 19th February 2019. And if you check that Hansard very well, and let me quote what the finance minister said in Parliament. He said that, Mr. Speaker, the state is facilitating this process by providing the land, the secretariat, and seed money, emphasis money, seed money for the preparatory phase. It has never been the statement of government or the finance minister or even President Akufo-Addo that government is not going to commit a penny to it. The narrative has always been that government is going to partner with faith-based organizations, private sector, to be able to put up this National Cathedral. What government has always been saying, which I think that the Honorable Okudato Ablakwa, my senior brother, probably did not avert his mind to, was the fact that government said that we are going to provide land, we will provide a secretariat, and also provide a seed money for the preparatory phase or stage for the building of the National Cathedral. And if you also check the letter that was written by the Honorable Kenneth Foyata, which is signed on the 31st March 2022, the heading of that letter, which he referred to a statement, or if you like, a letter from the Chief of Staff's office, that seed money for the construction of the National Cathedral, which is in consonance with what the finance minister said in Parliament on the 19th of February 2019. And so it cannot be that government is doing anything at variance with what it said. Government is in line with what it has already said. Government is in line with what he already promised the people of Ghana, and it is not doing anything different from what it said. I am listening to commentaries, especially from the Honorable Okudato Ablakwa and my senior brother, Mr. Jackson, of a certain misplaced priority. And I even heard you also reiterate the same fact. In fact, the Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa mentioned or alluded to Matthew chapter 31, verse 46. If we have to also assess ourselves, we may also address our mind to Matthew chapter 25, verse 35 to 40. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. This is a biblical statement, which I believe that His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the NPP government had lived in within that tenet. Why will I say that? We lived in a country whereby for a period of 10 years, we were losing prospective students at the level of the senior high school, about 100,000 of them. What it means is that every year, 100,000 of our young men and young women were not able to go to school, and it took a government in 2017, a political decision which was made for that matter, that this year I am going to give free education to our young men and young women. This is within the tenets of Matthew chapter 25, verse 35 to 40, that we won't allow people not to go to school because there's lack of resources or finances, and for that matter, there seems not to be some amount of equity, and they cannot go to school because their parents are deprived. Their parents are not having the requisite resources and finances to be able to take their wards to school. And the statistics from the Ministry of Education, which I worked, was that every year, 100,000 of our young men and young women were not able to go to school. Today, if any child is not able to go to school at the level of the secondary school, then it means that it is the sole decision of that child who decides or who has decided not to go to school. So we have lived within the tenets of Matthew chapter 25, verse 35. Again,
Honorable Asefo, allow me to come in here, please, because you raised two separate issues. You talk about the priority bit and what was referenced in Parliament. It is true, and I think Honorable Ablakwa did reference the fact that the minister came to the House and indicated what was being done, which is the land, the secretariat, seed money. Government did not announce a specific amount. Can you tell me here and now that a specific amount had been announced? Can you tell me here and now that there's a specific amount that even you as a member of Parliament together with your colleagues have approved? The hue and cry is that no specific amount had been agreed and approved, and hence we could see what may be 25 million today becoming 100 million tomorrow, and that is the issue that people are raising.
Well, I think that there have been three urgent questions that have been filed in Parliament seeking to get some responses or answers to this particular question that you've raised. Why don't we wait for the Minister of Finance himself to be in Parliament to address that? Having said that, if you check the 31st March 2022 letter that was written by the Honorable Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, item number two, it reads, authority is hereby granted you to release the sum of 25 billion Ghana cedis as additional seed money to the National Cathedral Secretariat for the construction of the National Cathedral for part payment of outstanding claims. Emphasis my part payment. So this clearly means that the 25 million cannot be the exact amount that can be termed as the seed money. No, what it means is that there is a certain amount of seed money which you and I cannot be sure about. And I'm sure that when the Finance Minister comes to Parliament, probably next week or the next, Finance Ministry should be able to put that figure out for us to understand the proper perspective, what the seed money is. But my interest is
but Honorable Asefo, I'm glad you said that because Honorable Asefo, I'm glad you said that because the reality then is that there is no clear figure on what the seed amount is. And if we are operating in a fair, open and transparent manner, that must be laid before the representatives of the people, yourselves in Parliament who are acting on our behalf. On the issue of free SHS, I think many Ghanaians support it. And that is why they voted Mr. Akufo-Addo and his government into office, to implement free SHS. And so I don't think there's an issue there about we don't have enough resources and so free SHS is expensive or other. I think we've crossed that bridge. But I think the concern now is that looking forward, is this Cathedral project going to be a public funded project? If it is, probably the government has to come back to the House to seek approval for those funds to support the construction of the project.
No, I think I will disagree with you on that. I mentioned the free SHS policy based on the commentaries by the Honorable Kuteto Ablakwa that we have a misplaced priority. And I'm also telling you that across the globe, there isn't a single country which is not having any problems, or no country is living in autarky. You cannot say that you don't have challenges, especially in the times of COVID-19 and the Ukrainian war. It cannot be. And so the fact that there are some challenges with respect to some statutory payments like NAPCO and what have you, doesn't mean that we cannot do other things. Why? In this country, and the history will tell us, what have we been current on NHIS? How the NHIS structure is. There cannot be any instance whereby any government will be current with respect to this payment. So I was making a point that the assertion that government is having a misplaced priority, and for that matter, we are not doing much for the people, we are not doing anything for the people, and the people probably need something better than a national cathedral, which government is prioritizing. I sought to disagree on that point, that there are a lot of social interventions that we've done for the people, and for that matter, at this point in time, we thought that the commitment that we made on the floor of Parliament that we are going to provide seed money should be provided, and so and that should be underscored. So, again, okay. For issues of transparency, yes, that government should be able to give an exact figure of how much we are using, especially when Parliament is also not aware of the amount, the exact amount that we are using. That is a fair question. That is why I'm also telling you that maybe there's something that you and I may not be aware. Why don't we wait for the Minister of Finance to appear in Parliament next week or the next, so that the Finance Minister will be able to lay the issues in proper perspective. So
is this going to become a public-funded project, the National Cathedral project? Is it going to become a public-funded project then, and not the partnership?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The Finance Minister and the government, by extension, we have always maintained that this is supposed to be a state-private partnership, and that is how come we have to raise funds here locally in Ghana. You remember the United States of America fundraising that we also embarked on, and so it is not something that government is going to, as it were, engage itself so much into it. Largely, it is supposed to be financed by private sector, faith-based organizations, because as I speak, I know that some payments or some commitments have been made by the Seventh-day Adventist organization, or if you like, the church, and there are other churches are also following suit. And so it cannot be asserted in any way that government is the one going to finance this. No, government's commitment to the National Cathedral is only a seed money just for the preparatory stage, and also to provide the land and the secretariat for it. Any assertion that government is engaging, or if you like, government is putting so much money, or government is putting a lot of money into the National Cathedral, one that is supposed to be discounted, we disagree with that. We are just providing the seed money. But I agree with you on the fact that there should be some amount of exactitude there as to how much the government is actually committing to what it calls the seed money.
Final question, Mr. Assefuah. Joe Jackson has suggested that, look, we are in difficult times, and it's no secret. And now we are even listed on an index that demonstrates that we may be among a group of countries, 10 of them, that are at high risk of defaulting on our external debt. Isn't it an option to suspend the project for now? It won't be the first project to be on hold until there are funds available.
If I didn't get a clear of the question, I just got the latter part. If you can get
all right. Okay, I'll just make it simpler. Should the Cathedral project be put on hold, as being suggested by Mr. Jackson, because times are hard? There's just not enough money to do this prestige personal pledge project at this time.
Well, I mean, it can be a conversation that we can have, but to put it in proper perspective, if you look at the amount that the National Cathedral Managed Trust Board of Trustees are trying to raise, we are talking about $315 million. $350 million as compared to about $3 million that have been paid by government as seed money, because the simple exchange rate of 25 million Ghana cedis could be about 3 million, or yes, that's about $3 million dollars. And so $3 million as compared to $350 million, which the anticipation of government is that the rest of the $300 million is supposed to be provided by faith-based organizations and private sector partnership. I don't see the real impact on the nation's first, because this is a microcosm of the whole amount of money we are talking about here. But Mr. Jackson is making a good point. I think that government may also look at it, because genuinely, government has already underscored the difficulties that we are going through as a nation, and not just Ghana. Other countries are going through the same thing. I watched a video yesterday of a man who has been arrested, or who went to a herbalist or a shrine to go and sacrifice his daughters for juju money. This is a man who came from Abroche, if I should put it that way. And everybody is thinking that if you're in Abroche, things are supposed to be good for you. So it underscores the challenges that we are finding ourselves as the global community, that we are having challenges and we are having difficulties everywhere. And so it cannot be identical to only Ghana. And that does not also mean that we cannot do other things as a nation if we are having difficulties.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable Vincent Eko Asefwa, who is the MP for Tafo.